Hi fam, welcome to another recipe. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my delicious okra stew. You want to see how I get to that? Keep on watching and don't forget to give this video a like, and let's get right into cooking this delicious okra stew. Alright fam, so these are the ingredients that I am going to be using for this delicious okra soup. Well assorted, as you can see. So let me just take you through the ingredients one after the other. So on this plate I've got my seafood, got my shrimps and some blue sea crabs, and in here I've got my dried chili pepper, and this here is ogiri. That's how we call it in Sierra Leone and I guess West Africa in general. So ogiri is basically fermented sesame seeds. This is going to give that extra delicious flavors, the aromas. This is just gonna take your okra stew into another level. So yeah, that's what we have here. I've got some spring onions, white onions, some shallots, and I've got some habanero pepper. I've got some paprika, and I've got some tomatoes. Here I've got some seasoning cubes. I've got basil and salt to taste. On the side I've got beef meat and already cleaned and washed and chopped into desired sizes. And here I've got some tripe, and right here I've got some smoked goat's meat, so the goat leg, and of course goat's meat and bones, which I roasted or grilled on the charcoal yesterday outside. And for the fact that this is smoked meat, this is going to add extra flavors into this okra stew, guys. So yeah, these are the ingredients that I am going to be using. Finally, the main ingredient, the king of the stew, is this fresh okra, which I have in here. And I'm gonna be slicing those and blending some of it. So yeah, you definitely need some okra, obviously. So you can also use frozen okra. Whichever okra you have at hand or available, you can use frozen or fresh. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so back to the ingredients and let's get right into cooking. You'll need some palm oil. I forgot to introduce that. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna start off by seasoning the assorted meat and get it to get steamed. So I'm going to be using one of this sweet pepper, some spring onions, and one habanero, and one large onion, salt and basil. I love basil. I love the smell of basil in my meat or whatever stew I'm cooking, and of course one seasoning cube. So I'm just gonna slice this into chunks just to aid easy blending. Of course, pepper is gonna go in. So you can make this as spicy as you want. You can just moderate or increase the heat or the spice according to your heat tolerance. We love spicy, so but I do tend to moderate it a little bit because of the kids. But we don't have a problem with that. All chopped up, and I'm gonna add some of the basil. You can season your meat with any seasoning that you have in your kitchen or whatever you prefer, as long as it tastes delicious. I'm gonna add a little drop of water to this, and just to aid easy blending. All right, all blended. So I'm gonna set this aside. All right, so next I'm gonna have the pot on medium to high heat, and I'm also gonna be using a tablespoon of oil or just a drop of oil. So this is the method that I use to get my meat soft and tender to the bone in no time. It's like using a pressure cooker without the use of a pressure cooker. So basically I'm gonna let this tiny bit of oil get heated up, and once it's heated I'm going to be adding my fresh beef meat first and allow that to steam fry, and then later on I'm gonna go in and add the rest of the assorted meat. And because the goat meat has already been halfway cooked through the smoking process, it doesn't need that much of a cooking anymore. So I'm first going to be steam frying my beef, And for that, I'm going to be using half an onion just to add some flavors into the oil. This is something I also like to do all the time. Okay, so this has been steaming for like 2 minutes. I'm just gonna give it a quick stir to turn it to the other side. I'm going to drop a tiny drop of water and then allow it to steam for another 2 minutes. In just 5 minutes, it's already tender and soft. And the next goes in my goat meat. Next, my blended ingredients are gonna go in for seasoning and marinade purposes. The flavor is already hitting my nose, so I'm gonna add some water into this to get this cooked very well. Next, I'm gonna add my seasoning cube, and I guess I'm going to be adding the extra 2 small ones just so the meat is well seasoned. And the rest of the okra stew, I am not going to be adding that much of salt. Basil, you can also add thyme if you want to. Yeah, so I'm gonna be adding some thyme since I have it at hand. Okay, well seasoned. Now it's time to give it a stir. Cover it up and allow it to boil and cook to the bone. So just enough water for it to be able to be cooked. Not too much and not too little. Alright, so while the meat is getting cooked, I'm gonna go ahead and prepare the ingredients for the stew. Then I start making the stew, and while that is also cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and start chopping the onions. I'm gonna start chopping the okra. So I'm gonna blend the fresh ingredients for the stew, and I'm not going to be adding any water at all because the tomatoes is going to produce its own juices, and I want the stew to be dry as possible. So I'm just gonna be blending this on a skipping motion, and because I don't want it to be too smooth, I like to see some of the chunks of the paprika in my okra stew, so I'm going to be using the pause motion. Okay, so peppers and onions are all blended. So I'm gonna set this aside, and I am going to add my crabs into the meat so that they get to cook and marinated as well. The shrimps are gonna get in later on because they can easily be cooked. Alright, so I've moved the pot of meat to the side just so I can have better camera angles for the stew, since I'm going to be focusing on it at the moment. In there I'm going to be adding some palm oil, about a cup of palm oil. it's solidified in there, so I don't know how I'm gonna get this out. So usually when the sun shines, I'll take it outside to get it melted, or just pop it into the microwave. I don't think I have time for all that. So I have some palm oil that is in an open container, so I guess that would be the best option for me right now. So I've got some palm oil which my mom gave to me the other time when she visited, so I'm gonna use that. But you don't want the palm oil to get too hot, you just want it to get melted and a little bit warm, and then you add in your blended ingredients, because then when you let it get too hot, it's gonna change the smell and the taste of your stew. So it's heated enough. I'm gonna add in the blended ingredients. Okay, so I'm gonna cover it up and let it fry and steam at the same time, just so the tomatoes, onions, and everything get to be cooked properly. I'm gonna cover it up for about 5 minutes, but I'll be checking on it time to time. Okay, so first I'm going to chop those that I'm going to be blending, and afterwards the half of it I am going to be slicing into smaller slices. So I'm going to have half sliced and half blended okra, just to get the two variations of the sliminess, and also having to get to bite and feel the crunch of the okra. So yeah, you could do anyway. So by the way, I didn't rinse this out after I blended the ingredients, so yeah, that's why it's like that. Guys, the flavors in this kitchen right now, it's divine. Like, it's amazing. The aromas, the yumminess, it's just a combination of I don't even know how to describe this, but it's just an explosion of deliciousness, aromas, and just everything. I'm gonna be removing the heads and the tail, and then cutting to the middle, then just throw it into the blender and let it do the rest of the job. This all I've gotten to be blended. So at this point, I'm going to add in some salt and the remaining seasoning cube. And then I'm going to add the ogiri just to intensify the flavors even more. It's gonna be an explosion of flavors. The aromas in this kitchen, guys, it's amazing. It's just to another level. And the kids are already pulling their noses and they can't wait to have this. All right, so the stew is looking good so far, and let's check on the assorted meats and seafood. You could also add some smoked fish if you have any at hand. Alright, so all done. Alright, so I'm gonna add a drop of water, just to get the blending. And I'm also gonna have this on a skipping motion because I don't want it to be completely crushed down. So now I'm just gonna add it into the stew and give it a quick fry. Smells delicious. I can't stop saying this because that's what it is. The stew has completely cooked down. That's how you know it's ready to go. And now I'm gonna add in okra, slice one first. That is there. Next in goes the blended okra. So just want to give it a circular motion kind of stirring, just to get it more slimy. Oh my goodness. This is delicious. I'm gonna add in the shrimp and my bell pepper. Give that a good stir, and I'm gonna leave it on a very low heat and allow it to simmer for about a couple of minutes more. Hey guys, at this point, if you haven't given this video a like, I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know what you're waiting for. If you not give this video as a thumbs up, I don't know what you wait for. I don't know how my link I had, how my lawyer had so fake and you have good video be thumbs up game. Madam how link I had. Now waiting you gain. If you not give this video a like, leave your comment down in the comment section below if you enjoyed watching this video. Subscribe if you haven't already to Amzolin K Cooks and also my main channel Amzolin K. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye guys.